Hello, my name is Steve D. Gage. My specialty is engineering theorism. I have experience going back to 1974 working with my specialty, which is closed propulsion. I worked with John Bloomer in 1974 as a propulsion expert. John Bloomer is an ex-employee of NASA, an ex-engineer for NASA. He also entered the X Prize contest for the first vehicle to make it into space by a private organization. Years later, more recently in 2010 and 11, I worked with Rick R. Dobson. Let me tell you a little story of how this video came about. In 1981, I came up with an idea of how the forces must work to allow closed propulsion to take place. This arrangement of forces is based on it's based off of an extrapolation from Gurdjieff's Enneagram. I'll show the basic Enneagram in this video here, and I will also then show the extrapolation, which is called the Evologram. I am the inventor of the Evologram. It is listed on the internet by search, but it doesn't give credit. I actually invented it in 1981, December 24th, and in 1983 I mailed information about it to California, to Stella Work and her organization, as being the original Enneagram that Gurdjieff spoke of, but hesitated to reveal in 1914 or so. It describes the three forces that Gurdjieff spoke of. The Evologram utilizes, or it shows, the three forces that Gurdjieff spoke of, which is the active, the passive, and the neutralizing. And I'll show a diagram of the symbolization of that here. The whole idea behind closed propulsion is to neutralize the opposite reaction. And this symbol describes how to do that. I submitted in the 1990s and 1980s, I submitted numerous designs to the Department of Energy, which were turned down for funding because they didn't understand that the way that the law of three, as it's called, or the three fundamental forces, that wasn't part of scientific knowledge at that time. So by the year 2000, I had a finished diagram of how this can be achieved. This closed propulsion can be achieved via hydraulic or gearing, and I think gearing is the best way, as Rick Dobson and I have discussed. Hydraulics is just too heavy and too bulky. But you'll see in this diagram my design, which has two discs, one on top of the other, counter-rotating, with 4 arms each with weights at the ends of each arm. And then I'll throw in here that a diagram that shows the direction of motion. Now, I've never built this. However, Rick R. Dobson Jr. He understood these same principles as far as neutralizing force and active and passive, although he didn't really call them that, but he did understand how forces can be manipulated. And he actually did build a device. I believe he said it weighed 86 pounds, and it was able to levitate 3 times its own weight, powered by 2 1-horsepower electric motors in the 1980s. His offices were consequently ransacked and all of his paperwork destroyed, and this device eventually destroyed too. But it was a working model, and it can be built again. And he published here on YouTube how that model worked, and I'm lucky enough to have the video of that by his permission, and I'll play that here now. As you can see, the most force is always at the up position, so it is the same basic principle, although it is not a 4-armed unit, 2 4-armed units on top of each other or beside each other, but rather it's in 2 8-armed units. Same basic design, just different number of arms and units and weights. This technology, I believe, has been available for decades and is being kept secret. Like I said, Rick has been ransacked many times, and most recently, I believe in 2011, his house was firebombed for publishing on YouTube, and who knows who did it. He has his ideas, but I don't know who did it. Some of the powers that be somewhere out there don't want this known. And on my own, in my own life, I had a package of my artwork, my mechanical drawing artwork, which was stolen approximately 5 or 6 years ago. And they got a lot of interesting stuff, except they did not get that diagram that I showed you, and I'll show it here again, because it was in a different place. And so thank goodness I didn't have to draw it all over again. But this technology can be used for propulsion for any kind of vehicle, including spacecraft, especially spacecraft. It's very much more efficient than rocket propulsion. Acceleration outside the atmosphere can reach probably millions of miles per hour with very little energy expended. It can be powered electrically, with nuclear, or with internal combustion. You don't need to use a lot of fuel to power this kind of a unit. Rick had told me that his unit, when he the one he built, got up to lifting 3 times its own weight, the RPMs got very, very high, and it began to shake and make a whining noise. But that can be overcome. I mean, that's just a technical problem. the simple solution is lower RPMs and bigger weights, heavier weights, and more accurate machining of the parts. So pass this video along. With the end of the Mayan calendar coming in a few days, in a month exactly, actually, to this day, I think it's time that the people know what the government has in their damn black operative crap, that they could be using this, we could be using this, the public could be using this. It could very well help us solve our gasoline problems, for one thing. It's more efficient than a simple internal combustion engine by itself. And our spacecraft, instead of gobbling up thousands and thousands of gallons of oxygen and hydrogen, could be using this technology and polluting nothing at very much less cost. The greatest thing about this type of design is that it can be miniaturized. It can be built at any scale. So hold on a second. Computer's telling me something. This is Black Op top secret technology, and this video is intended to blow the top off of this secret. Once again, I'm going to show Rick Dobson's animation of the working of the forces to cause something to lift without reacting against an outside mass. That is the nature of close propulsion. Pass this video along. May the truth come out, and may mankind be better off for it. Thank you very much.